Good morning, friends. I will start from where we have stopped in the last video. And the last video we spoke about the research paper which I wrote in the year 2012 on the topic fundamental analysis of three companies. And and subsequently we even discussed what is the dividend they have paid. These three companies have paid. What is the rate of return these three companies have fetched the shareholders of the company. And then we stopped. And then in today's presentation I am going to speak on deliberate upon the factors which should be considered while investing in the equity share capital of the company, or when you are purchasing the shares of the company from the stock exchange. And even I am going to talk about the different aspects which I have dwelled upon in my research paper on all these three companies on as far as the financial ratios and the parameters are concerned. So the question arises, what made me to choose these three companies, and why these three companies as predicted, two of them have given more than unanticipated return, and the third one, Suzlon company, as predicted, it gave a negative return. So I have formulated a checklist for this. So the checklist is shown in the slide. All these items should be considered for equity investments. So I will read out one by one, and subsequently I will discuss and throw light on all these parameters and factors which affect the investment in equity share capital. So the first one is how old is the company. The second one is what is the debt equity ratio of the company. The third one is what is the earnings per share of the company. What is the dividend per share of the company. The fifth one is what is the market price to book value of the company. The sixth one is what is the price earnings ratio of the company. Some other aspects are also covered here. What are the investments made by the company in its subsidiaries and other related investments. Any is if the company has dividend, if the company has declared any special dividend. Apart from this, what is the promoter stake in the equity share capital of the company? How much is the FII's holding in these companies? LIC and mutual fund holding in these companies? Whether the company has come out with a buyback program? What is the track record of the company as far as bonus issue of shares is concerned, or issue of bonus shares is concerned? Whether the company has announced or working on any capital budgeting programs or investments schemes as such. The company should have a lower equity capital. Whether the company has declared a stock split, and what is the dividend yield. So these are some of the parameters which have to be looked upon before we start investing in a equity share capital of the company. I will add one more thing, which is very important. All this put together should be there in the company's profile. It's not like a few of them are okay and a few of them are not okay. For example, if dividend of the company is very good but the debt equity ratio is very high, then I don't consider this as a strong company. So all this should be in favor of the company. All this parameters should be in favor of the company. It's not like a few of them are in favor and few of them are not in favor. So please, I'm once again emphasizing that all should be in favor of the companies, and then only we will finalize whether to invest in these companies which we have considered for investment. So we'll look one by one and understand all these factors on a minute basis. Now, how old is the company? So one of the factors which should be considered, is how old is the company. A new company and a very old company. So if it's a new company, then try to avoid it. And if it's a very old company, like its existence is more than 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 100 years, 100 and plus years. For example, there are some companies whose age is almost 70 years or 75 years. A company like Reliance Industries is 50 years old. A company like Walchand Nagar Industries is more than 100 years old. So look at these companies which are, what is the age of these companies? If it's more than 30, 40, 50 years, then it's a factor which we can consider as a positive as for the company investment is concerned in equity share capital. Next one is, what is the debt equity ratio of the company? So how much is the debt is very important, because if the company is having huge debt on the balance sheet of the company, then it's not a good omen, it's not a good sign, as because it's every time it has to service either in the form of interest payment or principal repayment, which can affect the cash flows of the company, the profitability of the company, as well as the dividend paying capacity of the company. The dividend paying capacity as well as the earnings per profitability of the company are badly impaired or damaged because of huge debt. So avoid those companies which are having huge debt. So as I've already covered in my previous videos on ratio analysis, the I will prefer those companies which are debt-free companies, or the debt to equity ratio is 1:1. So this is another factor which should be considered for equity investment. Next one is, what is the earnings per share of the company? So earnings per share is nothing but profit per share of the company, profit per equity share of the company. For example, there are 5 companies and the face value are 10 each in all the 5 companies, and all the companies are in the same sector, and earnings per share of the first company is 100 rupees, the second company is 70 rupees, the third company is 60 rupees, the fourth company is 20 rupees, and the fifth company is minus 20 rupees. So generally it is an hidden, not a hidden fact, that the earnings per share should be very high. That is, it is a measurement of the profitability of the company. More is the earnings of the company, better is the company, or better is the company's is in a formidable position to declare huge amount of dividend, and they can suitably reward the shareholders of the company. So more earnings per share should be the barometer or the parameter or the point on which we can say that yes, I can invest in this particular company. For example, there are some companies whose earnings per share are more than 100 rupees, more than 150 rupees, more than 200 rupees. So these companies are having good capabilities and capacities to pay dividend per share. So low high EPS should be the mantra. Now, what is the dividend per share? So once you are having good amount of earnings per share, if the earnings per share is very high, then the company is in a good position to declare huge amount of dividend or reasonable amount of dividend, and the dividend should be at least, I will call it as 6% on what you have invested. So once you are having good profitability, once you are having good earnings per share, the company will be in a very strong position. The company is robust enough to pay good amount of dividend. So choose those companies which are paying regular dividend. Okay, some companies are paying intermittently, erratically, and there is no fixed pattern. For example, sometimes they pay good amount of dividend, and some 2-3 years down the line they don't pay, and then they pay low in the fourth year or fifth year, they will pay meager amount of dividend, all that stuff. So look at the pattern, look at the trend in which they are following as far as dividend payment is concerned. For example, some companies are there which are paying incremental dividends from year to year, because this is possible only for those companies which are having incremental sales from year to year. There is a sales growth year to year, on a year-on-year basis. There is a profit growth on a year-on-year basis. There is a good amount of return on net worth on a year-on-year basis, and then the earnings per share also is increasing, and then the company's capabilities as far as dividend payment is concerned also is increasing. So look at those companies which are paying good dividend, handsome dividend, and regular dividend, and the dividend is paid continuously. Next one is price earnings ratio. So this is one of the important ratios which are considered for capital market investments, or investments in stock market, or in equity share capital of the company, which is price earnings ratio. I will give a small example. This particular concept has been explained by and large in my videos which I have already uploaded. Therein I give so many examples. Still I will cover this because this is very important. I will give a small example. Okay, for example, you are having three houses which you have given on rent basis, the first house is costing you are purchased at 50 lakhs. The second house also you have purchased at 50 lakhs. The third house also you have purchased and got 50 lakh rupees. Now you have let them on rental basis, and per annum the rent is, in the first case the rent per annum is 10 lakhs. In the second case it is 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs. In the third case it is 2 lakhs. So in the first case, on an investment of 50 lakhs you are earning 10 lakhs per annum. In the second case, on an investment of 50 lakhs, you are earning 5 lakhs per annum. In the third case, on an investment of 50 lakhs, you are earning 2 lakh rupees. So if you look, in the first case, you can get back your money in 5 years. In the second case, you will get back in 10 years. In the third case, you will get 25 years. It will take 25 years to get back what you have invested. Okay, the same example can be correlated with PE ratio. Okay, so PE is nothing but market price by earnings per share. Okay, there are three companies ABC. Okay, and ABC are three companies which are in the same sector. So let's take a small example on these three companies. Now I have purchased one share of each company at 500 rupees, 500 rupees, and 500 rupees. The first company is having a earnings per share of 200 rupees. The second company is having a earnings per share of 50 rupees, and the third case the company is having a earnings per share of 5 rupees. So in the first case, on a market price of 500 rupees, the earnings are 200 rupees. Okay, so you are going to get back your invested amount in 2.5 years. So PE is 2.5. In the second case, on the similar lines you can calculate 500 by 50 is 10. In the last case, 500 by 10 is 50. So as the PE increases, as you might have looked at the trend, it takes huge amount of time to get back what you have invested. So the thumb rule is the PE ratio should be very, very low. Then only there is a element of attractiveness in investing in that company, because there is more earnings, but the price is available at a cheaper price. The share is traded at a cheaper price. So the golden rule is earnings per share should be high and market price should be low, and you will get back what you have invested in a meager or scant amount of time, in a minuscule amount of time. So PE ratio should be always less in comparison to your competitor companies. So the thumb rule is, so here I have given max to max, the P should be 8, or max to max it should be 8, 6, or max to max 8. I will say if it is less than 6 and the earnings per share is very good, then you can blindly invest in these companies. So PE is considered to be one of the best indicator whether to invest in a company stock or not. Next, now another factor which should be considered for investment in equity share capital is market price to book value. Market price to book value. Now what do you mean by market price to book value? See, the concept of book value per share and net worth of the company was explained in the previous videos, and at that time I told the book value of the company is nothing but the equity share capital plus reserves and surplus divided by number of outstanding equity shares. So book value per share is nothing but equity share capital plus reserves and surplus, which is also called as retained earnings or profits, divided by number of equity shares. So it is nothing but, if I go further and understand it, it is nothing but net worth of the company divided by number of equity shares. For example, the equity shares issued are 10,000 shares are issued, and the net worth of the company is some 5 lakh rupees. Okay, once again, if the net worth of the company is 5 lakhs and the number of shares issued is 10,000, so the book value per share BVPS is equal to 5 lakhs divided by 10,000 is equal to 500 rupees per share. So book value is 500 rupees per share. Book value is 500 rupees per share. This is the way you calculate book value per share. It's nothing but net worth of the company by number of equity shares. Now in this case the book value is 500 rupees, means the intrinsic value of the company's equity share is 500 rupees. The intrinsic value of the company's equity share is 500 rupees per share. Now the same is available in the market, or it is listed on the stock exchange at 200 rupees. Means what? A stock whose value is 500 rupees is available in the market or on the stock exchange is listed is currently traded at 200 rupees. So is it worth to purchase? Yes, it is worth to purchase. On the contrary, if I give another example wherein I will just calculate. So the example goes like this. If the book value of the company is 200 rupees, if the book value of the company is 200 rupees and the same product or stock is available in the stock exchange and listed at the current market price of 50,000 rupees. So book value is 200 rupees and market value is 50,000 rupees. So now you can understand that you are purchasing, if you want to purchase this particular share, so you are purchasing a share whose worth is 200 rupees at 50,000 rupees. Is it a worth to purchase? No, because what I did, I calculated the concept called as market price by book value. So in the first case, market price was 200 rupees and book value was 500 rupees, so it is 0.4. In the second case, the market price was 50,000 rupees and the book value was 200 rupees, so it's roughly 40 times. So you have to purchase when the ratio of book value market price to book value is less, and it should be avoided, or the company should be avoided for investment purpose if the book value per share to market value to book value is more. So the thumb rule is, if the market price to book value is less than 1.5 or maximum 2 or 3, I will call it, it's right to invest. If it's more than 3 or 4, please avoid it, because there is no element of scope for increasing the valuations or increasing the appreciation of the investment. So this is a fundamental rule, that market price should be less and the book value should be high, then only it is worth buying. So there are so many companies which are which are traded which are available at a less market price to book value, like for example 0.4, 0.6, 0.7. So these are worth to be purchased because the book value is very high in comparison to the market price. Next one. Now another element which has to be considered for investment purpose is the investments on the balance sheet of the company, on the assets of the company. There are so many companies which are there, which are having some more companies under them, which are called as subsidiary companies or holding companies. So look at those companies. Look, you have to even calculate the valuation of these companies. So if a subsidiary company is very strong, then it is worth to be purchased. If what you can purchase the parent company. Next one is, if they are having huge amount of cash balances or they are having bank balances, then these companies might be investing in liquid funds of mutual funds, or they can be investing, they might have purchased some shares of equity share capital of Reliance Industries or Tata Steel or Tata Motors or HDFC Bank or so on and so, Infosys, Satyam, Wipro, so on and so forth. So these companies financial conditions are told to be very good, because whenever there is a problem as far as current liquidity position is concerned, they can sell off those investments and take care of their liquidity position. So, and apart from this, these companies where they have invested in the subsidiary companies as well as in other companies equity share capital, these companies are having other income in the form of interest and dividend. So this will not only add to the profitability, not only the profit of the company is a source of income, but even the other income in the form of interest and dividend from other companies is a source of income. So there are two sorts of income in this kind of company. So you have to go into the balance sheet, look at the balance sheet, look at the asset side of balance sheet, what kind of investments they have. If they have got 3,000 crores or 4,000 crores or 300, 500 crores of investments, then it is financially very strong. So one of the parameters we have to consider is whether these companies are having huge cash and liquid position, and whether they have invested in other companies, blue chip companies, then it's worth to purchase it. Next one is any special dividend. Now another parameter to look at whether the companies whether these companies have been doing well or not is whether in the past whether they have declared special dividends or not. For example, I will tell you, in the year 2012 I selected Navin Florin just on the basis of a special dividend. This company has declared in the year 2012, probably in the month of April or May, when I wrote this paper, they declared a dividend of 60 rupees plus another final dividend of some say 5-6 rupees. So, and the price and the market price was around 180 or 200 rupees. Means on a investment of 200 rupees, the company is straight away outright they are paying 65 rupees. So this is, it speaks about the volumes about the company's strength, financial strength. They have huge amount of cash. They have huge amount of sales. The sales is increasing. The product is being sold. The profit is increasing. The earnings per share is increasing. The cash flows are increasing. The return on investment is very high. The liquidity position of the company is very high. All these parameters are positive in the favor of the company. So you should look upon those companies which are paying special dividend from time to time. For example, there is another company by name Allentas Beck. It's a pharmaceutical company. Look at the balance sheet of the company. Look at the profit and loss account. Look at the dividend per share of the company, and look at the dividend per share, special dividend what they have paid. These companies are beautiful companies because they have huge cash inflows, smooth cash inflows, and special dividend should be considered as a parameter to invest in a company. Next one is equity shareholding pattern. Now you look at those companies where the owners or the promoters of the company have huge stake in the company. For example, a company like XYZ having the shareholders or the promoters or owners of the company are having 60% stake in the company, or 55% stake in the company, or 70% stake of the in the company shareholding, or 68%. Then this considered to be very good companies because the owners are having huge confidence in the company, and that's the reason why they have a huge amount of stake in the company, and they are confident about the future prospects of the company. So you have to look at this parameter also. Apart from this, whether there is a FII holding in the company, whether mutual funds are holding in this, having holding in this company stake, and apart from this, the LICs of the India and other financial institutions are having any investments, whether they have acquired any stake in the company, and all put together, what is the total stake they are having in the company. So if the stake is more than 60-70%, only 20-25% is available for among the public for investment. So this is another parameter which is generally looked upon for investment in the company. Next one, buyback of the company. Another element of understanding whether the company is a good company or not is buyback of the company. Whether the company is buying back its own shares from the public through any mechanism, for example, open market or through stock exchange. So all that stuff is there. For example, when I wrote this paper in the year 2012, I just went into the history of SRF Limited, and I saw that the company in the year 2008, 9, 10 approximately, they came out with a buyback of their own shares from the public. They wanted to acquire or purchase back the shares which are there in the with the share, the public, some 5% or 6%, something like that. So this is possible because they are having huge amount of cash. There is a cash availability in the company. There is a huge amount of profit. Cash flows are there, and apart from this, in addition to this one, the promoters of the company are having huge amount of confidence, monumental confidence in the company, humongous amount of confidence in the company. That's the reason why they want to buy back their own shares. So this is another element which you have to look upon. Next one is bonus track record. I will tell you one small example. If you look at Wipro's bonus track record, you will be surprised. You will be really surprised because in the year 1983 till 2020, if you look at the bonus, they have declared bonus is nothing but bonus on equity shares. If you are holding 10 shares of equity in a company and the company is declaring 1:1 dividend, it means that they are going to give you for every 1 share held by you 1 share. So 10 shares will become 20 shares. So a company like Wipro, if you look, they have declared bonus from time to time, and the number of shares have increased exponentially. So you have to look upon this particular factor. For example, a company like Navin Fluorine, whether they have declared a bonus or not, whether they have declared a special dividend or not, whether a company like SRF has declared a bonus how many times. HPCL is one case in point where they have declared good amount of dividend as well as they have declared bonus from time to time. So if the company is declaring a bonus on equity shares, then it is considered to be a very good company because they are trying to maximize the wealth of the equity shareholders of the company. Next one is new capital budgeting. For example, XYZ Limited is there and they made a profit of 1,000 crores this year. Now they don't want to be stagnant, they don't want to be constant. They want to see that there is an incremental sales, there is an incremental profit. For this, what they need to do, they have to explore new businesses or related businesses, and if they find that there are related businesses, opportunities in related businesses, then they can come out with greenfield projects or brownfield projects or expansion programs. So a company like SRF and Navin Fluorine, while I was doing this research on the research which is my research paper, they have been investing in new related projects. So after 3-4 years, they are going to come out with a new factory. The production capacity has increased, so there will be new incremental sales. There will be new there will be incremental profit, and there is a incremental EPS, and there is a incremental DPS, dividend per share. So whether companies like oil refineries like Reliance Industries, HPCL, BPCL, IOC, these are the companies which are coming out with expansion programs, capacity buildings, and so on and so forth. What does it mean? They are confident about their product. They have huge market for this particular product in which they are trading. So there will be incremental sales, incremental profit, and EPS and DPS will be positively affected. Next one is promoter shareholding pledge. If the owners of the company are pledging their own shares, then I consider this as a bad omen and a bad sign. We should avoid this kind of companies. So you look at those companies where the promoters who have pledged their shares is zero. Then only invest in these companies. Otherwise, avoid these companies, because they are pledging their shares. Means they are, I don't know why they are pledging their shares. Maybe for their own personal benefit, or for their personal use, or for compensating for some other reason. So avoid those companies where the promoters are pledging their shares. Next one is this is very important. This is very important. Low equity capital base. Now I will give a small example which I have studied, and then I am putting across to you. Hyderabad Industries Limited. It's a company which is CK Birla Group. If I look at the equity share capital of the company, I am talking about approximate figures. Okay, the company's total equity share capital is less than 10 crores. The total equity share capital is 10 crores, less than 10 crores. On this less than 10 crores of equity capital, they are having a sales of around 2000 plus crores of sales. The turnover of the company on this sales of on this equity capital base of 10 crores is almost 2500 crores. So how many times? 250 times. And on this 2500 crores, there is a profit of 20%, means 500 crores. Means what? On 10 crores of equity share capital, the total profit is 500 crores. So the earnings per share is, maybe I have to calculate, 5,000 rupees. 500 crores divided by 10 is equal to 50 rupees. So if the face value is 10 rupees, then 50 into 10 is equal to 500 rupees. So the earnings per share is 500 rupees. How was it possible? Because on a equity of 10 crores, they are having a sales of 5,000 crores. On this 5,000 crores, they are making a profit of 500 crores, and then the company can pay a dividend of 0 to 500 rupees per share. Okay, so this is what we have to look into consideration. Companies which are having low equity share capital should be chosen for investment purpose, because these are the companies which have strong capacity to pay report good earnings per share, and eventually they will be in a formidable position to pay a good amount of dividend to the shareholders of the company. Next one, stock split. Already I spoke about stock split. Stock split is dividing the face value to enable liquidity in the counter, and Navin Fluorine has declared a stock split in the year 2017 from 10 rupees to 2 rupees. Next one is dividend yield. See, it's like a bank. If you go to a bank and invest 10,000 rupees in a fixed deposit, and they are giving you 4% rate of interest, means the return is 4%. Similar kind of mechanism is followed in stock markets. For example, a company by name Andhra Sugar is there. It's a 75 years old company. The company has declared dividend almost 69 times, 69 years. The company is having a good track record. The company promoters stake is almost 60% plus. They are having subsidiary companies like Josil and Andhra Petrochemicals. And in the year 2020, they have declared a dividend of 20 rupees. Means what? on a current market price of 200 rupees, they are declaring a dividend of 20 rupees. Means the dividend yield is 10%. Even the banks are not giving that kind of return, or that kind of yield is not there from banks. So max to max 4% or 5%, that too tax. Whereas in case of dividend, please remember up to 10 lakh rupees is exempted from tax. So if somebody is earning on an individual capacity 10 lakh rupees as a dividend for the whole year from his investments, it is totally exempted from tax. Over and above 10 lakhs is taxable. So on a market price of 200 rupees, the company is declaring a dividend of 20 rupees. The dividend yield is 10 rupees. So purchase these companies. So dividend yield should be more than 4%, 5%, 6%. Then only these are lucrative companies, and the buyback is very less amount of time. Now let's go back to our research paper, and these are all the slides which I have taken it from my PDF of the research paper, and explaining one by one as far as sales are concerned, ratios are concerned of all the three companies. Now look at the sales of the company of Navin Fluorine. From 260 crores in the year 2007, it has almost doubled to 430 crores. If you look at the interest in the third row, the interest is mere 7 crores, and they have repaid it because they are able to generate good amount of profit, and they have repaid the loan, and the interest burden has decreased from 8 crores to 3 crores from the year 2007 to 2011. Now gross profit also is there. Now look at the earnings per share. The earnings per share has grown exponentially from dash rupees to 73 rupees per share. So there is a growth in the earnings per share. So all these parameters, the company is very good as far as interest is concerned, as far as EPS is concerned, incremental sales or year-on-year growth sales is concerned, or operating profit is concerned. And look at the earnings per share of the Navin Fluorine. From 12 rupees, it has increased to 81 rupees. So on an earnings per share of 12 rupees or 13 rupees, the company is now, within a span of 4 years, it has increased by 6 times to 81 rupees. Okay, now dividend per share. So in the year when in the year 2000, because their earnings per share was 12 rupees, they were able to declare a dividend of 4 rupees. Now look at the year 2011, the earnings per share has increased to 81 rupees 50 paise, and that's the reason why the dividend also has increased from 4 rupees to 15 rupees. I have highlighted in the red background. Now look at the profitability ratios. The profitability ratios, operating profit margin has increased from 13% to 28%. The gross profit margin has increased from 10% to 25%. The net profit margin also has increased fourfold from 4.7% to 16%. And look at the debt equity ratio. The debt equity ratio has drastically reduced from 0.5 to 0.03. 0.03 means the debt is almost negligible, and it is a debt-free company. So there is no burden of interest. Look at the owner's own fund in the total fund. Means the total funds the company is having, and out of which how much is the owner's fund. From 66% was the owner's fund in the year 2007. Now the owner's fund is 97%. So all these parameters were considered for my study in the year 2012, and I found that this company is a very good company, and the future also is tremendous. Now similarly, look at sales sales turnover ratios and other aspects of financial aspects of SRF. So SRF, the sales were 1900 crores, and in the year 2007, sorry, and subsequently in the year 2011, it is 3000 crores, almost. It has increased many folds. The operating profit was 542 crores, and it has increased to 870 crores during this period. Interest, because interest has increased. Now you can ask me, sir, interest is increased. See, if interest is increased, please remember they might have taken a loan to invest in a new project where they are confident that this project is going to give good amount of return. Even look at the earnings per share and gross profit per share. The earnings per share has increased from negligible amount in 2007 to 80 rupees per share in 2011. So there is a manifold increase in the earnings per share, and this can be the reason why the company will be declaring a dividend which will be handsome. Next one is SRF Limited. Ratios. The earnings per share was 45 rupees, and it has increased to 75 rupees. And look at the dividend. In the year they were 7, they were able to declare a dividend of 6 rupees. Now in the year 2011, they have almost doubled it to 14,000 rupees. Why was it possible? Because there is a huge growth in the earnings per share. Look at the operating profit margins. It has increased many folds from 31% to 21%, so on and so forth. Net profit margin has remained same, but there is an incremental sales, and that's the but at the same time the equity base has remained same. That's the reason why the earnings per share has increased. And on similar lines, you can look at the debt equity ratio and other parameters. Look at Suzlon. Now look at Suzlon. This is a miserable case. This is a case where the company has badly performed. Now the the sales were in the 2007 were 5,380 crores, and in the year 2011 it has fallen by almost 10% or 20%. The operating profit was 200 crores in 2007, and it has fallen down to 180 crores, and in between there was a loss also. And even the interest burden has increased drastically, exponentially to 580 crores. The earnings per share, the company has sustained losses, and the losses are huge in nature. Next one. Look at the earnings per share from 37 rupees earnings per share, it is minus 0.7. Means a company which was announcing 37 rupees earnings per share now is announcing in the year 2011 minus 0.7. Why? Because of so many reasons: decrease in sales, and even the loan has increased, the interest burden has increased. Now look at the dividend was 2007 5 rupees, 2000, sorry, 5 percentage dividend, 5 rupees, and in the year 2008 it was 1 rupee, and subsequently as the company was sustaining losses or incurring losses, they could not declare a dividend, and the company is not in a position to declare a dividend. So on all parameters, even look at the debt equity ratio from 0.03 to 0.81, and if you look at the capital of the company's capital is very huge. So please avoid this kind of companies. You can take it out that the company's debt has increased dramatically. Even look at the book value per share from 129 rupees, the book value of the share is decreasing every year, which is 38 rupees. So now again, this is the checklist. So my sincere request to all the viewers who are viewing my slide, my video, that you look at all these factors and then tick mark whether it is favorable or not. Then only you decide whether to invest in this company or not. So with this, I will end up. I hope this particular video will be of immense benefit to all the viewers who are viewing across the world, and catch you with some new companies in the times to come. God bless you and have a nice day, and best of luck for your future endeavors. Thank you so much.